Raise your hand.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the August 12th Plan Commission meeting, and we do have a quorum. And before we start, there was a request to have a moment of silence for our reporter, Amber Levenhagen, who passed away due to a traffic vehicle accident on Friday. So give us a couple moments here. Okay, thank you. The first order of business would be to consider approval of the Plan Commission meeting minutes of July 8th of 2019. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. I'll second.
Motion by Schumacher and a second by Caravello. Any questions, comments, or changes in the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. That carries. Item number 3 is a council representative report. Alderperson Caravello.
So if I'm looking at the correct, these are our old Plan Commission minutes. Sorry, you guys, I'm still kind of getting my wheels on figuring this out. So am I looking at the Tower Drive? That's from our last Plan Commission meeting.
Yeah, it would have been in this
Council.
packet.
Well, we approved the Tower Drive. That request by Dale Beskey for 1421 Tower Drive, that went pretty smoothly. That was straightforward. The condominium plat for Stoughton Hospital, there were, again, the same question regarding the need for that, but that was approved smoothly, by council, and number 8. Where did we end up with number 8, since there was no sign?
Hamilton Street Apartments. Preliminary condo.
Well, the sign is back up. I did see that.
Yeah, the sign we approved here.
Well, the sign we approved here, but did not go from here to council, so
Okay.
that's it.
All right. And then the next item would be the staff report.
Included in your packet is a summary of some of the billing activity, a month-to-date and year-to-date statistics. If you've got any questions, we'll certainly try to answer them for you.
Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 5, which is a request by John Peterson for final approval of the Hamilton Street apartment condominiums, 1117 Hamilton Street.
So you'll recall this preliminary plat actually came before the Plan Commission earlier, and there was one item that we'd identified that we thought was appropriate for inclusion, and that was related to maintenance of the stormwater area. That's been included in Article 6 of the document that's been included in the packet. So if there's any questions, Mr. Peterson's here also to answer any questions, as well as staff if there are any for us as well.
Are there any questions or comments? If none, I would entertain a motion. And we're looking for a recommendation to the council.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Robinson. Is there a second by Seltzer? Any discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that carries. Item number 6 is a request by Maggie Ganser for the conditional use permit to expand the childcare use and building at Weeble World Childcare Center, 1815 Cedar Brook Lane. Anything you want to cover before we go into the public hearing?
I'll just give a brief little overview. Contained in your packet is material related to this addition onto an existing facility on the east side of the city. You can see that it's adding an area for classroom, restrooms, and some other ancillary space within this facility. The site plan depicts the additional parking and modifications that would be necessary to accommodate the additional staffing and student load that they'd have here. So it's kind of exciting. This building wasn't built all that long ago for this purpose, and now they're looking for or have a need to expand. So there's representatives from the owner as well as the architect available for questions once we get to that point.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments? Otherwise, we do have a need to go into a public hearing. So we would close the regular meeting and then reopen for the public hearing. And I really don't have anyone signed up specifically to speak. As Planning Director Shield mentioned, there is representation here that would be more than happy to answer any questions. And we can either do that before or after the public hearing. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and then we'll just reopen for the regular meeting here. So we have a request and we're looking for a recommendation to the council. Is anybody willing to make that, or do you have any questions before we entertain that? Commissioner Barman?
I have just a question for clarification, just to make sure I'm understanding correctly. The reason that we need the conditional use permit is because of the reduction in parking stalls. Does the 25% reduction in parking stalls include or not include the 3 proposed potential ones, the 3 parallel there? So, I mean, is that,
That's calculated in,
okay.
into the reduction.
So with those 3 included, then that's still, we're still 25% below the parking stalls that are required, or would those 3 bring it up to what would actually meet code?
No, we need those 3 to meet the 25% reduction.
Okay. But my understanding is they're not going to put those 3 in unless it's needed later?
We have a written statement from the adjacent property owner
Okay.
indicating that these 3 can be utilized as parking stalls as necessary for their operation.
Okay, so that's currently paved, and so we would just be striping those 3
That's correct.
to get to that level where we're at the 25%?
That's correct.
Okay.
Jerry Borquin or Maggie, do either one of you want to give just a summary of the expansion or talk about the project a little bit? Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. And you can adjust the microphone.
Hello, I'm Maggie. This building we had was built in 2012. We quickly reached our capacity and are just looking for a way to accommodate a few more families. There's a big need in Stoughton for childcare. We have 80 families on our waiting list currently. So this would accommodate about 20 more students and add at least 2 full-time jobs, if not 3, in our community. So, yeah, we've been parking along the back here and there just when there's an overflow. We have a good relationship with the Fastenal owners, and they've accommodated that. We got that in writing and presented that. And peak pickup times are really between 4 and 5 o'clock is where there's the overflow. The majority of the day we have plenty of parking spaces available, and then peak drop-off times are going to be between 7 and 8 or 8:30. And those are otherwise there's plenty of open parking in the front of the building.
Any questions for Maggie or for Jerry? It's awfully quiet tonight, okay.
Thank you.
So we'd be looking for a recommendation for the council. Anybody willing to give one?
I move.
Motion by President Majewski. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alder Caravello. One more time for questions or comments. Commissioner Seltzer.
Thanks, Mayor. I hate to even bring it up, but I think it should be brought up. Is there a way to attach the agreement of the adjacent property owner about that use? Since that use in itself doesn't even bring it up to the requirement. And I want in every way to make this work, but what if those people should sell that property, and is there some way that we could ask the people who own that property to put it into their sale, that that property be able to be used? I'm just trying to avoid a future problem. If we're already three under what we need with those spaces, and now we get a property owner next door who doesn't want anything to do with that, with that use. I guess I'm saying, should we formalize the requirement to use those 3 spaces?
Certainly is an option, and requiring a deed restriction. You'll recognize on the site, they do utilize this to access the parking stalls in this location. I think there would be an opportunity to expand the parking slightly here if necessary in the future, but obviously that's utilized for space of their site, and I think the preference is to not to have to do that, but I think if it became a requirement, that might be an option to expand parking on this particular site. Again, this is already a shared access area, so they have rights to egress and ingress. The parking is something that you'd still need to be able to accommodate the ingress and egress, so you're correct. Maybe these wouldn't be available in the future unless it's somehow solidified, but hopefully the opportunity to be able to expand on their campus if necessary would be an option in the future too.
If they decide to put parking spaces on their property line specifically, would that still keep them in compliance with the green space regulation for the number of students that they have?
I believe so. It's close, right?
It's getting tight.
It's getting
yeah.
tight.
They've got a dumpster enclosure there too on the end that they've got a.
Yeah, so this doesn't show it real well, but there's a dumpster enclosure in here. So there's a number of things competing for their space, as you can
Yep.
understand.
Yep.
And I
Go ahead.
should have asked earlier, we still have the necessary width of the drive lane with the 3 parallel parking
Yeah.
stall striped? Was that
Through here.
27, am I seeing on the,
24 would be the minimum.
but it's 27 is
I
what
believe
we
it's
have?
27 is what's shown here.
Okay.
Yes, 27, 5 or 6. There may even be an opportunity, if necessary, to put some additional parallel stalls along the west side. But again, then you've got the green space potential infringement. I think we're all trying to not create more impervious area if at all possible in this situation. She spoke about the peak times and the type of use that there's a couple of peak times every day that really demand the full use of, or maybe most of their, if not all their stalls. It's not the entire duration of the day, so hopefully there's a way to recognize that this way.
Probably still chaotic even if you had 100 parking stalls.
Is there parking on the road there too as well?
So, the question the mayor asked, is there parking on the street? Parking is allowed on the street, but as a zoning code, evaluation, we're looking for off-street parking to meet the requirements. That's not to say that there isn't some on-street parking that can or does occur. We're as a zoning code reviewer, looking for on-site accommodations.
Do we have any zoning language that would accommodate businesses such as this that have like peak drop-off pickup times and they're only utilized for a very narrow stripe out of the day?
I can't say with certainty about that. We certainly have language that allows for adjacent sites to accommodate that off-site demand, or that demand on an off-site location. Michael, can you picture?
5% reduction really, I think, helps.
It helps to accommodate
Helps
that,
to accommodate.
recognize that peak.
Otherwise, they'd have to have quite a bit more parking.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Todd.
If I can ask one more
Sure.
question. How do your peak times relate to the times that Fastenal and Kicks Unlimited need their parking spaces? I mean, is it a nice do they overlap the peak times, or do they use their parking stalls at different times?
Sure.
Thank you for the question. Typically, Fastenal, when they're getting deliveries, it's very early in the morning. It's before the majority of my staff are even there. And otherwise, it's the traffic that goes around the front to their building is pretty minimal that I've seen, and it's typically during the day after our parents have done their dropping off and before they've picked up. Kicks Unlimited is only open in the late afternoon and evening and on Saturdays. So once in a while, there's some overlap in the later afternoon hours, but that's past the peak pickup time, I should say, that we have at our center.
And remind, Kicks Unlimited, their front door access is from the,
It's from 51, correct?
all right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Mike, do you have anything else to add?
I was just gonna say maybe there's an easement or something, an opportunity too that they could give them, as far as a legal document that it gives them a right in the future. I don't know.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tom.
The issue about not having enough green space, is that solvable in general when we run into that problem at all by simply maybe putting in some kind of improvement, some kind of, not septic system, but drain field, I guess? Is there a way to solve that without getting into the fact that it just can't be corrected or?
Yeah, the green space requirement isn't related to a stormwater concern. It's related to an open area of space. Yeah.
Okay.
It's more of an aesthetic consideration than it is, in this case, a stormwater one.
Even superseding that, it's a state requirement for the number of students. They've got to have X number of green space, square feet per student, and that's in their center licensing requirements.
Well, I guess since I brought it up, and I think that this is a very good project for the city, and we should just, I think we should pass it and handle it as we have to if there's a problem in the future.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, so the motion is recommend the site plan review, right?
This would be for approve
For the
the conditional
conditional
use
use.
as well as the site plan.
So for
review.
both of the items that are on the agenda.
The site plan review is done, completed here.
Okay.
The CUP would be a recommendation of the council. And the
Okay.
The CUP is separate from the site plan. So
Okay.
there's two action items.
Two action items. Okay, so the first one is the recommendation to the council on the conditional use permit. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that carries. So then the site plan review is a separate process. Is there anything we need to cover with it?
I mean, it was kind of part of the discussion we've already been having, but we see it as a separate action by the planning commission.
Okay, and that one is, you said would just be approved by this body. It doesn't have to go to council.
The only condition is subject to the CUP being approved by council. So,
Okay.
yep.
All right, so would somebody like to make that motion?
Sure.
Okay,
Second.
motion by Robinson and the second by Seltzer. So the motion is to approve the site plan review approval contingent on the conditional use permit being approved by the city council. Any questions or comments related to that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that carries. Thank you. Yep, good luck. When do you plan on starting?
Yeah, hopefully get to the council this fall. We'll get to see.
Okay. Yeah, you can expect that would be on the council on, what, the 13th?
2 weeks from tomorrow.
2 weeks from tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yep, 26. Okay, future agenda items? Do you have anything?
I don't have anything on my radar. That's not to
Okay.
say there isn't going to be things coming up or that I should have remembered.
All
I've been
right.
out of the office a few days, so I'm ramping up again.
Anything on the commissioners' minds for future agenda items? Okay, hearing none. Move on to last item, number 8.
Move to adjourn?
Okay. The motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Caravello. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, we're adjourned. Thank you.